Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 178, part 2. We are starting a fresh feed for everyone out there, so I encourage everyone to share it. As I mentioned at the end of part 1, I personally am not going to share it to the whiskey and cigar pages, because this is where we kind of go beyond the BS, and this is where we're going to talk about some life stuff here. So I hope you guys take the time to share this and get people involved in the conversation. I hope you guys tune in as well. I'm going to share it right. Meow.
Hurry up, meow.
Shared there and on my personal boom. So part 2, this is where we go, again, beyond the BS. We're still smoking the Oliva Series V. I am. Everyone else?
Yep. Bingo.
Yeah. We're also, because it smokes forever. As we talk about in part 1. Check out part 1 if you guys are interested in the cigar review. Also, the whiskey review. We have the Restoration Kentucky Rye Whiskey, and this is from Castle and Key. We reviewed that one, and I got to tell you, we were not disappointed in either the cigar or the whiskey. Highly rated on our show tonight. We have a broader panel with the 4 people at the table. So, Shannon Chapman, I appreciate you being here. Got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you're going to dive into it or not. I'm not going to disclose it. Dustin Bovey has some little stuff going on as well, like just getting married last weekend.
A little bit.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And Nate Hale, who promotion.
Oh.
So everyone's got stuff going on.
Yes.
I'm also here tonight. This is my garage.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. I was at the wedding. I had a great time.
Good.
Yeah. And then Jake and Alicia, Jake Sanders, who founded this podcast with me,
Yep.
They crashed at my place, and all it took. Hey guys, I put on fresh sheets actually yesterday. If you want to crash at the place, like I'm like, I'll be on the
couch it is.
I have a guest mattress and a bed. It's not set up, so on the couch.
Did Jake proceed to drink all the whiskey in your house?
Not all the whiskey. No, we actually drank some good stuff. He brought some Weller. I had some. He tried. We went through that red breast. That the what was that called? The Lusau.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one that Adrian.
So that one I brought to the wedding, and then we had it back here as well. And then Shannon destroys the garage.
Shannon has been on.
Sorry about your ears if you're listening on headphones or you're in your car right now and you just blew your subwoofer.
Someone just crashed.
My wife says I'm a bull, baby.
Yes, she does. All right.
Roaming barber, is that what you're getting ready to call it?
I was going to.
I just did.
His wife calls him a bull.
You're still on part 1.
Am I?
The raging.
She's just being kind.
Let me refresh that. So I shared it twice. There we go. Share it again.
Was that red breast your favorite of them last week?
It was up there. I really like the 27, I like the 21, but that one was very, very good.
Yeah, 21 was amazing, but that's also Adrian's favorite and had the least amount in it. So I was pretty sure he's like, yeah, I'm going to take that.
I need to get a hold of Adrian. Actually, there was a shop, Jim Anderson, who's a follower of this and also a customer in Tinder Box. He called me today, and they have a Redbreast 27 at Wylands. Sorry, Adrian, if someone grabs it before you do at this point, but Wylands here in Columbus area, Wylands Market, they have it, and it's the $4.99.
Oh, nice.
Just a cheap $500 bottle.
Yeah.
What?
So in part 2, this is where, again, we kind of get into life topics. So I want to thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton. We had the Oliva V, Altadis USA. I got a Reserva Real Nicaragua from Romeo y Julieta. And also BS Cigar Company. The golds are on their way and should be here early August. And the silvers are here and ready to be smoked. And also patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. This is where you guys can be a part of the podcast. $5, $10, $25 tiers, or you can put whatever you want in there and do a one-time donation. As I mentioned in part 1 a couple times, that shirts like this that I've got on, the podcast shirt that says pour one more, light up another, we'll figure this out together. And also Nate's got on the original that was actually the Patreon shirt. We should have these live hopefully sometime in August on online ordering where you guys can buy 1, 2, or 20 shirts, whatever you want. And you can support it. If you're a Patreon member, you will get one. A $25 member will get one of the new ones. I'm picking a color, so put it on. I'll put a poll on the Bourbon and BS community page. And then also, I hope you guys will just share it because everyone seems to like the shirt. I'm going to go with the first topic tonight here because Shannon is at the table. So So Shannon Chapman, when I asked today, again, we have a great community page on Facebook. If you guys aren't a part of it, I just posted, it says 14 hours ago. So sometime this morning, any topic ideas for part 2 tonight? What do we want to talk about? And I got a lot. So we're going to use a lot of these, just not maybe tonight. This is something where we had some great ones. And Shannon said, time and energy. What are you doing with what you have left? So Shannon, I'll throw it to you. Why did you throw that up there? And then I'll let you start the conversation on what you think you can start with. And you don't have to give your entire secrets of what you're going to do with the time that you have left. But I mean, why did you put it up there? And then what are you thinking?
Well, that's really come to the forefront here in the last week. So my grandfather, I was adopted by my grandparents as a child. So when I talk about my father, I talk about my grandfather.
Which you explained on the podcast that you were the featured guest. It was great.
Yeah, and well, he's come to the end of his life, and he's still with us at this moment, but it's coming to the end. We've taken him off all life support, anything like that. So we're just letting him go peacefully, and I've got to spend the last few days by myself, me and my wife in the room with him. And, everything goes through your mind with that kind of stuff. And you think about, what am I doing now? What I haven't done. All the stuff you put on the back burner. You think about the time in the day. We all have the same 24 hours. What do we do with it? And it's just, you're just ripping through my head right now. And, we got so much family in town right now that the hospital doesn't allow everybody in. They only do 2 at a time, and then they don't let you stay in the hospital. You got to sit outside or sit in your car. It's just crazy. So I've had my 2 nights with them, just to say goodbye and all that good stuff. But, who needs to be there most is my mother, and they get all the other family members in there to say their goodbyes and stuff. But it really got me thinking about this last year and last year with all the craziness of the pandemic stuff. And I just noticed over the last couple years, I've become pretty lazy in my life. Things I should be doing, I don't do. I put them off to the last minute, and it's a pain in the ass to get it done at that point because it's crunch time. And I just really started thinking about that when you posted that question. That's the first thing that popped up was time and energy.
Oh, 100%. Makes total sense.
Right. What do you put your time and energy into? And right now it's just a lot of stupid shit. And
well, you just got back from a lengthy trip out west.
Yeah.
How was, I kind of, because I bring that up because I think that kind of plays into this topic that you brought up. I mean,
well,
taking trips like that,
that part of my life has been pretty solid. I always believe in getting out and being an adventurous and doing things and getting back into nature. Me, my wife, there's about 7 of us. We all drove out west to South Dakota, Montana, Yellowstone, and all over Wyoming and all that good stuff. We were out there about 10 days. And it's beautiful. That stuff really recharges me, but that's just one aspect. I'm not taking care of myself, my health.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa, he's a big boy.
How old is he?
He's 86.
It's a good life.
He's had an incredible life, and he's a big guy, not a big guy like weight-wise. He was just a massive man. He was always a strong dude, strong-willed, strong-mannered. Never took shit from nobody, and he instilled that in us to not ever let anybody speak down to us. And
he's the original bull.
Yeah, we call him the Buffalo. He is a strong dude, but and right now, like, he's still Sunday. They told us 24 hours, and here we are Wednesday.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. Yeah. But I think part of it is allowing people to come in, say their goodbyes, get that time with them. And when he's ready, he'll go. I mean, he told us about 8 months ago, I don't have much longer. I'm ready to go. So he's been dealing with dementia really bad here the last 6 months. And that's just that time. It just keeps clicking in my head like time. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I haven't been doing shit with it.
So, as a friend, I disagree.
Okay.
And forgive me if I'm misspeaking, but the last several years of your life,
Mhm.
you made some huge life changes.
I did, yes.
If you listen to the episode, I don't know if Nate can pull that one up, but the one that Shannon Chapman is the featured guest, it is like you've had a great life so far with ups and downs,
Mm.
and you've had these moments that I remember from your story that back in the day, as you called it, you ran with a rougher crowd. You were not making some good life decisions.
No.
How does that look now compared to what you're doing now?
I've definitely made changes and strides in my life to better everything. And the whole schooling thing and changing careers, yeah, that was time and energy that I really put down. But it was like coming out of school, starting a new career. I'm still charging ahead in my career, but I think I guess my time and energy is my personal time and energy.
Okay.
I'm not doing anything to better my health.
Okay.
I've let myself slide. It's obvious when you see me. I walked around. I was a avid, remember back in the day, I was a avid gym rat. I lived the life. It was all I ever did. I took care of myself. Now I've just let myself slide. So I went from, I think I walked around about 190, 195. I'm sitting at 235, 240 right now.
So you put things in, you reprioritized your life not too long ago.
Yes.
And I think that's something that when you look at that, sometimes things do take the front seat. Sometimes things can take the back seat. We talk about balance a lot on this, but I read something recently is that if you want to actually really excel at something, whatever the focus might be, it's not about balance at that time. Now, what I'm hearing from you now is that this is something that is kind of rebalancing out your life. All right. So you already made the career change. You and your wife, Shannon, are also from the outside looking in, doing well enough, right?
Perfect. Oh yeah, we're great.
Yeah. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you are killing it in a lot of ways. And
professionally, yes.
Professionally, but that was the focus.
Yes.
That was the focus. Even this last year, you made that change. We talked about this before. So he made a change. If you guys haven't listened to that podcast, if you don't know Shannon, he made a career change. And it was something from going from something he'd done for 20 plus years. And he wanted something he felt more fulfilled doing, which is being a barber and helping people and working with people, like literally hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the world shut down.
Yeah.
And now we're back at it.
Yeah.
So all of those, what do we say, 1,800 hours?
1,800. Yes.
1,800 hours of schooling to be a barber. Then you come out of that school, and then the world says, hang on a second.
Yeah, 4 weeks, 1 day.
yeah, exactly. So now all of a sudden you get to that point where you're back at it. So the professional life side of it is clicking.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can really refocus on some of the other things.
Yeah,
you can bring it back up. So I mean, there's times where there is a little bit of a balancing act, but I mean, there's times where you can lose focus on your health or whatever else it is, and all you're doing is you're busting your ass in school, and then you're busting your ass trying to get the job done. Then you're trying to survive not only with a pandemic going on, but with the fact that there is a pandemic going on, and you're trying to I can't make money right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to give you an out, but I'm saying that this is the ebbs and flows.
No, I fully agree with you, but the problem is that I have great intentions for a lot of things I want to do, but there's no follow through. So part of the reason we went out west, I run a men's group here in town, me and a bunch of other guys, and it's a life group. We all get together, just talk life and love on each other and help each other through crazy situations like what I'm going through right now. And we had a speaker there, and his thing was intentions and actions. Everybody has intentions, but what are you doing with your actions?
Mhm.
And that kind of started sparking everything in me. And then this happens. This all went down on my birthday here last on July 12th, and it just kind of your famous word focus is like, it's really brought focus in of like, okay, what am I going to do from this point on to give myself that longevity of life? And I'm not talking about being some super healthy macho dude or whatever. I'm just talking quality of life. And
Mhm.
I've been doing everything in the opposite. And it just really, really came home this week.
And that's completely understandable. I look at it with you. We all have this. Not we all. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but I think there's a common thing where it's like the things you're doing today, you kind of keep on that word. You lose focus on the fact that you just assume you're gonna live to be 80 or 90 years old, right? Today anymore. Right. Like we saw that this last year, but you were doing things to be able to change tomorrow, right, or change next year or whatever it might be. Like, if I'm gonna keep doing this, I'm gonna kill myself, like by being a truck driver and being miserable, and then now I'm gonna get prescribed, like heart medication, and I'll probably have a heart attack by the time I'm 50, if not sooner, and all this stuff. And now you're doing something you like. It's giving you opportunity to balance it out with your everyday health.
Right.
The happiness of your everyday life, I feel like, is always challenged by something. And with that, it could be right now, you're looking at it, you look in the mirror and you're like, what the fuck have I been doing? I assume you didn't say that. I'm going to say that.
No, yeah.
Because I've been there.
You're 100% right.
I've been there. And I think a lot of people are there or have been there. And it's not about having a six pack. It's not about having, being back down to 190 and being, 30 years old, because, you can't get time back, which is also part of this. So now it's, what are you going to do? And you have to really, and I'm going to bring it up early, but it's that hand in your face thing, right? You have to actually focus on not only what's going to happen the rest of today and tomorrow, but then also, if I make it another 40 years, am I taking steps that I will be building something for the future?
Right.
But it is about tomorrow. It's about today, even more important, right? We make mistakes. We have to learn from them and try not to make the same mistakes again.
Yeah.
So with you're talking about your health. It's get working out again, eat better. Is that what you're saying a priority is right now for you?
It's definitely up on the priority list.
I tell you what, if you hit 86, you're gonna feel like you hit a good life.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I had to, that time of reflection sitting there with my dad and just growing up with him and the lessons and, the good life we had, fishing up at Lake Erie all the time. We had a boat, so we were always up there every weekend. And I just think about all that stuff, and I don't know, life never stops. Sometimes we stop, but life never stops, and I feel like I've stopped in certain parts of my life. Like professionally, I'm charging ahead. I'm doing all the things I need to do to get better at my craft, and my goals for that is to have my own barbershop. And, just now I think I have to bring it all back into balance with the other part of my life, which is taking care of myself.
Right.
Because I want to be around for my wife. I want to be, like, I don't have any health issues right now, but I just feel like crap.
Well, I think that's kind of going around. Ray Cheshire says, Steve, doesn't mean being 86 does not mean you had a good life. You're absolutely right. And I think that's what I'm trying to touch on, and what Shannon's trying to touch on, is that it is a mix of it. Ray also says, I don't think it's about longevity. It's about looking back and being happy with the path. Agreed. But one thing you could be unhappy with is that you're 50, 55, say you're 40, whatever the age is, 86, if you neglected yourself, and that's the reason that your life's cut short because you just wanted to eat more cheeseburgers, you wanted to like not fucking walk,
Right.
you just want to like sit and watch TV, that's not a good life, and it's not also a healthy lifestyle. I am a firm believer that it is a balance, and there are times that even I will not even I like in that sense, but I know I look back right now and it's like there's been some choices I've made that I'm not happy with, but at the same time I'm trying to learn from it, and it's a constant work in progress.
Yeah.
And the it's not about fitness all the time, but it's eating well. You can enjoy yourself, but if you know something's bad for you, that's not a good lifestyle decision either. So I'm looking at it as like you are trying to find that mix. You can do both things. I think there is something where you can have this good mental state, but part of that it's all the physical side also. It's the science behind it. To have everything firing, you need to at least be well. I'm not saying again you have to have a six pack. I'm not saying you have to lift weights. I'm just saying do something to encourage your body to be able to function in a sense where all the things that you've done, Shannon, and with what you're doing with your life, if you can make choices that complement the career change, your marriage, where you see yourself if you're given up to 86 years or beyond.
Well, I think that's the thing. Even in this career, it's somewhat demanding on your body. I mean, you're standing all day, you're physically moving, your arms and everything, it does wear on you. And I'm feeling it right now. Like I'm really feeling it. And, carrying a little extra weight around the old belly areas.
Your knees can't like it.
I already had bad knees and back from my previous career, and it's adding to it right now. But to the point of, living to 86 and having a good life, to my dad, a good life for him was providing, loving on his family, that he didn't care about fancy shit. He didn't care about cars, houses, they have the same house he bought for $1,700 in 1973 to this day, the same neighborhood, same everything, and house is paid for. It's his. So he never cared about the fancy stuff. He lived a very humble life. And I think for the longest time, I ran from that humble life. I thought you had to have the flashy shit. I got caught up with the Joneses, but as we get older, perspective comes in, and I'm like, he might have been onto something. You know what I mean?
If he's happy,
yeah, and he was happy.
He was happy.
He bought a brand new truck in 1993, a Silverado 1500 truck, and he still has that truck to this day. That's his truck. Same motor, original transmit, everything. He just takes care of it.
Yeah.
And it's...
If you take care of something, it tends to last a little bit longer.
Yeah, and including our body.
There it is. I thought that was,
Yeah, so I don't know. That's been running through my mind here the last couple of days. And so my time is now going to be focusing on balancing out my life because I've been lopsided here lately.
Yeah.
So it's not saying I'm going to run off in this other direction and just be full tilt here and drop off on the other end.
You still belong to the same gym I joined recently?
No, I'm not there anymore. I just actually signed up to another gym right down the street, that Power in Motion.
Okay, great.
So I went there Monday, signed up, and been taking care of my food here lately, making sure I'm cutting out all the stupid stuff. And like I told you when we were sitting Sunday at Fido's, I haven't read a book. I couldn't tell you how long. I started reading that book, Atomic Habits, how to refocus my habits into things that are actually going to make me. And I love the premise of it. It's 1% better every day. It doesn't have to be full bore the first day.
It's not overnight, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that 1% better every day. So instead of me getting up, getting ready for work, coffee, breakfast, and getting on my laptop watching stupid YouTube videos, now I'm reading the book.
I like it.
And then at work, I try to focus instead of in between time doing nothing but listening to something, You know, I clean I always clean my stuff, but I clean it really good. I go through and I clean my whole station, and I just get it ready for the next, it's just like these little tiny things I'm trying to build on. And as you build on that 1%, by the time you get to the end, it's 100%.
It's kind of like what Steve said when we've had some of our whiskey guests on, that overnight success that took 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm successful. People are like, oh, you're an overnight success. No, I busted my ass for a long time. Like when we've had, High Bank, Watershed, some of those local distilleries on, it's like, hey, they're, reaching a great point of success. You're right. It took a long time for them to do it. It wasn't an overnight thing. There's a lot of consistency. And I think that's a big key as well to getting where you want to go is having consistency in actually making that change, making that progress little by little.
I think that's universal also. I mean, that goes with not only your career, it goes with relationships, right? I mean, you talk to people that have had, when you see them, and we talked about it before on this podcast, is that when you see people that are happily married, their family life is great. They live in a nice house. Their credit is good. I mean, they're like got it all figured out. 90 something, like I'm not gonna give a stat. A lot of the times, talk to them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These mentors. Talk to them about what they were doing for a living and how their credit was and where they were at with debt and where they were at with their marriage or family.
Mm-hmm.
There is a point somewhere along the line that they're either, to the extremes, they're divorced, they're almost splitting up, they moved out, they quit a job, they got fired, whatever it is. I mean, there's always this aspect there that keep moving forward is a key. Or to your point, just recently, in recent years, you made those decisions, and all of a sudden, by doing those things, you neglected other parts of your life. So in 5 years from now, we see you on this podcast, or just being friends, we see you and you're back down another 30 pounds, and you're 5 years older and you feel better because you've actually addressed the weaknesses that you have self-diagnosed. And I think that's something that happens with health. It happens with career. It happens with relationships. It happens with business, with, doing that. It's like people look at you like, oh, overnight success. It's like, no, motherfucker, I've been in the gym, I've been eating right. I've been going out of my way to, make sure that my significant other is treated well.
Mm-hmm.
But it all starts with you.
Yes.
And that's, I think, what we're getting at here.
Yeah.
And if health's not important to you, if you don't want to lift weights, like I said, if you don't want to eat healthy 6-7 days a week, you also realize you can't go the other extreme and just treat your body like a dumpster.
And that's what I've been doing. I've been in this rut of at the shop all day, doing my thing, giving my 100% to all my clients. And I come home and I don't give myself any percent. I come home, I sit down, turn on the TV, eat dinner, whatever I do, sit on the back patio.
Looking at Dustin right now.
And,
that was a hard stare too. Holy shit.
And the sad part is when this is all going on,
just left.
You just wait.
Fuck this.
When all this is going on, I know in the back of my mind, why are you sitting here doing nothing?
Yeah.
But there's not me taking that step to change it.
Yeah.
So I'll change it for a day.
Was this something that was in your mind prior to what was going on with your dad?
Yeah, that was always kind of.
Was this just like an extra boost?
Yeah, this just brought it straight to the front. It's always been hanging around, and I did for a while. I don't know if when I started doing the walks like you did, but I started talking and doing thoughts for the day.
You stopped doing that.
I did. That's another thing I started.
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
I started this thing where I would go for a walk and I would do a 10-minute walk, and then at 10-minute I would get on Facebook Live or I would just record myself and then I would put it out on Insta and Facebook about my thoughts of the day and what as a community or whatever we could do better, or give somebody a thought, maybe change their mind that day or change a thought pattern. And it was getting crazy reviews. People were loving it. And then I just one morning I got up,
Oh, you dip, you dip on some of the stuff. You know what I mean? And then that's getting comfortable,
yeah,
and you have great expectations for yourself, and then you slip. You have one cheat meal, or you're like, I won't eat healthy today. Not going to go on that walk today. And you mentioned that I was doing that, still doing that, but I'm not posting as many posts.
yeah.
There are some mornings that I have been doing it, and I would be 100% transparent. Is because I didn't feel like doing it that day.
Yeah.
I was feeling more comfortable with my everyday life, which you probably were as well. And then you realize that when you start, and it's okay to change your daily habits if priorities shift, but the best habits that you get out of some of these things, if you let those things slip because you want to sleep in a little bit longer, because now you got, like you feel better about yourself, career's going well, you got your significant other laying next to you, you're like, I'm gonna just lay down for a little bit longer.
Hit that snooze a couple
One day,
times.
okay, fine. 2 days, now you're slipping. Now all of
Yeah.
a sudden, a week, 2 weeks, a month.
You
A
know
year
what-
later, you're like,
I did that with the-
what am I not doing?
I did that with the walks last week. Like,
Yeah.
You know what's
there was,
crazy?
There were so many mornings last week where it was raining, and I was like, it's raining. I'm gonna sleep in another hour. Whereas I should have taken my ass down in the basement and gotten on a treadmill and still done the exact same.
Well, you know
walk.
what really started this, and I've been thinking about this over the week, and so all my professional career, I've always gotten up at 4:30, 5 o'clock
Terrible.
for my career, right? So I've always been a morning person. It was never a problem getting up.
I hate people like
Now that I don't have to be in the shop till 9:30. I still get up by 7, but I feel like I've already lost
that. What
hours.
time is your first alarm set? 7?
Right now I have it at 6,
And when you get up?
7.
No, okay. Today was the first time I got up at 6:15 in a long time, and that's what I was doing when things were bad, and that's when things were like turned upside down in my life. And I realized as I built myself back up, I slept in longer and longer.
Yeah.
Right? Not saying you always have to be at the bottom to like push yourself, but there is a sense of, say it again, balance. So it's like set my alarm at 6, then it became 6:15, 6:30, then it was 6:45, 7. Like, I'll just go to the gym in the afternoon or evening. Something comes up, I don't go. Very recently, it was something that I realized that I was getting comfortable again, and that's when I started slipping again. And again, this morning was the first Wednesday in a long time that I went to the gym and then did the walk, and
Nice.
then came home. I mowed the front of my grass because I didn't get to it, and I ate. I walked Tony again.
Yeah.
So he's been like 3 miles today. He's probably still barking right now because he hears us out. But
Yeah.
that's, you have to catch yourself. It's okay to slip sometimes, but that is, I feel like, the constant struggle. You talk about focus, I talk about refocus a lot, you know what I mean? And doing that, it's like, you're going to slip. You have to realize that you are not perfect. You're going to slip. You're going to make bad decisions at certain times. Some of them are very minor. Some can be very major. And if you make it through it.
But with that, you can know yourself is slipping, but when are you going to catch yourself?
Too late.
That's the big question here.
It's usually a wake-up call, ironically enough, in life.
And here it is.
Ironically, it is a wake-up call. I had one of those recently again, and it's something that 6-7 months ago I had that wake-up call, and then again 6-7 months later I have a wake-up call again. It's the same fucking wake-up call.
Right.
So you learn from yourself and from other people, and you learn from the life experiences for a while there, but as soon as you get comfortable, you get complacent, and you might lose your drive. You might make the same mistakes again. You have to be your best student.
Yep.
You learned something already. Don't forget it. There's going to be a test at the end. Okay? Just because you learned it for the midterm doesn't mean it's going to not be on the final. I think that's something we have to realize. A couple people are saying, I don't do the snooze.
Shit.
I set 2 alarms. And sometimes it's like 15 minutes apart.
But it's crazy. I know I work better when I wake up early.
Mhm.
I know my body gets up and gets going. Like that's just how I'm programmed.
Yeah.
I'll wake up. I still wake up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, but I just go back to sleep now.
Yeah, this morning was one of those mornings where my alarm went off for to walk the time because I've the days I'm going to take a walk I have an alarm set. The days I'm not taking a walk it's a different time, but I have like an actual alarm clock, not my phone. So it's like I get one chance with
Where's
that
the alarm in the room?
right next to my bed.
Ooh.
I know. Typically, I used to not set it within arm's reach of the bed. I used to set it like on a dresser or something where I actually had to get up out of bed in order to be able to hit the alarm clock.
Yeah.
I used to have a coworker that we'd bought him an alarm clock because he would oversleep so often. We'd bought him an alarm clock that would actually shoot like a little projectile off into the room.
What
So it was
was it shooting?
almost like it was like it had rotors on it, but it was enclosed in a circle. So it just
What's the actual projectile? Is it
so like it would just spin and then would just launch off like a kid's toy. But the only way to shut the alarm off was you had to actually grab that and put it back on the alarm clock.
Oh shit.
That was the only way to shut the
Sounds
alarm
like
off.
torture.
Except
terrible.
he went out of town one week and
kept going off.
yeah,
And
so
you're looking around for the projectile.
his roommates didn't know how to shut the alarm off, so they ended up taking it and just smashing it against the wall.
Oh my goodness.
That's one way to set it off.
That's one way to turn the alarm off. But no, like this morning, my alarm went off, and because of something that had happened recently, like I was just sitting there going, you know what, if I'm awake, I'm thinking about this. I'd rather sleep for another hour because that's an hour I'm not thinking about it. But then I was like, you know what though, if I get up and I take the walk, whether I think about that thing or not, I'm just gonna feel better about everything else in the day. I'm just gonna feel better.
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing about eating better. It's about exercising. It's about doing some of these things. Is that it is a healthy lifestyle, but it's not just about the mental side of it. The body works that way. You take what you were talking about, your 10-minute walks, and my old man walks, or Nate's walks in the morning, or if you don't hit the snooze, or you don't, the body responds to that. In the last couple days, I have not necessarily gone full-blown intermittent fasting like I did at one point, but I ate a lot less calories, and I slept better, but I also woke up because I was hungry. I've reintroduced, not to get too meathead on you guys, but I've reintroduced, I was like, ran out of protein powder. It's fine. It's expensive. I can go a week or two without it. I don't need that extra protein. Fuck no, I don't. I mean, like I do.
You do.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of those things. I'll be fine. Everyone else doesn't do it, so they're all good and all that stuff. And no, I had to reintroduce some of the best practices that have worked for me, with the end goal of mental clarity. And like I said, for me, I slipped into the point that I slipped back.
Right.
And it's impacted my day-to-day and some of the things that could be my day-to-day. And that's where now I'm at, like, again, where I'm like, no, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? I realize sometimes sleep is very important. And so I understand that sometimes, like, if I've got people over for a podcast like tonight and I'm up a little bit later than normal, this shouldn't be the norm. This is this is a part of my life, but it shouldn't be a random night when I have to be at work in the morning and I want to work out in the morning. I want to do all this stuff. So it's like, it's literally constant reminders of this.
Well, what's crazy, in my professional career, I was always up early. I was always one of the first ones to work. I'm a person that enjoys getting to work early and setting up my whole day. So back when I was driving, was pre-tripping my truck, getting everything ready, getting my paperwork ready. So there was no thinking about it. I don't understand how people can show up to work, walk in like 2 minutes before, and boom, let's go. That's
me.
That's a different mentality for me. I come in, I have to have so at the barbershop, we don't open until 9:30, but I get there at 8:30 before everybody else. I do everybody's steam towels. I put them all in their steamer. I clean my station. I get the towels in the washer and dryer. To me, that's what helps my day get set.
Yeah.
You know, like that gets my mind going, gets me into the realm I need to be in for the shop, and the same in my other career. But where, you know, when you think about it, like, okay, I can do that for this. Why can't I do this for me?
I remember when the work from home thing first started for us last year. Like I was setting my alarm for like 5 minutes before I would start my day.
Mm-hmm.
And then now with doing the morning walk, you know, when I was setting my alarm, you know, just 5 minutes, it's like, all right, get up, may look at my phone, may end up actually logging on a couple minutes after 8 o'clock. Cause I'm just laying in bed looking at my phone. And when I do the walk, like I'll get back to my house within the same 5 minutes of when I'm supposed to start my day. But as soon as I get back to the house, I'm like, all right, time to go. Like I'm awake. I no longer need to sit there and stare at my phone for 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
You know, check all the notifications I got while I was sleeping. It's like, nope, ready to start my day. I'm good to go now. I'm awake. You know, I got my head on straight. Time to just bust it out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with the time and energy, man. Just what am I going to do with this time? I know I have the time to do the things I need to get done. It's time to prioritize it. So that's the first step for me. And energy, man, is just I give a lot of energy to my work. I give all my energy to my relationship. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Love it.
Now I just got to give some energy to myself, and that's where I'm at right now.
That's actually given me anxiety recently of trying to, in a sense, burn the candle at both ends. And again, I'm not a brain surgeon.
Say what?
I have a great job. I smoke and drink for a living, in a sense. The problem is when that takes the focus, and then that's the problem. I do this, and you guys might literally laugh at this, but there's some days where I'm literally up at like 6 or 7, and then I'm not in bed until 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been productive and all that stuff, but then like a night, like a podcast or something like that, and the responsibilities of tomorrow aren't going to wait.
Mm-mm.
So you just keep just plowing ahead. And to your point, Shannon, I neglect myself. I don't go to the gym 5 days a week like I like to. I've been 3 or 4, and I was up too late because I was talking to people or I was doing whatever, being social, either out or just even like FaceTime, whatever. And then the next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, my alarm's still set. So now I got 5 hours of sleep and I had too many drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, it is something where you really have to schedule some of this stuff. All the things that you're knocking out of the park right now, it's because you schedule it. You put priority on that.
Yep.
I say this a lot to people, and I've heard this on podcasts and read about it, is that there are so many successful people that are killing it in their careers and their personal life, and yet they can still, I'm not saying it's a bad thing all the time, but they can quote, how many seasons of The Office were there?
Too many.
They can quote all of them. There's more than 6, Sean. 18, I think. I don't know. But it was something like the fact that you can sit there and you can say you just binge watch something, but you don't have time to exercise. You don't have time to cook for yourself. You don't have time to do this. And it's like you're filling that time with something else. So with that whole thing with time and energy, sometimes you do. I get to that point, I crash, and it's like, you know what? I don't even take phone calls. I don't leave the house. It's just me and Tony, and it's just, he even looks at me. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing today?" So I should be in my crate at some point, because you're leaving the house. And then he's like, "I enjoy it." I see those judging eyes, of a dog, and he's like looking at you, you piece of shit. And you're like, "Hey, man," and I have a talk with a dog that's not talking back, but it's those eyes,
It's the eyes, man. They get you.
I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
But it is something that you have to actually always be on top of your game and schedule.
Mm,
And I know I haven't been there, and I assume everyone else has also not been
yeah.
there.
I'm a notorious night person. I love the night.
You just said you're a morning person.
Well, but
That's a conflict.
I mean, I can get up, but I can stay up to the
Yeah.
crack of dawn and just. I love it.
Over time, though,
It kills me.
there you go.
I know.
You
know
wake
that.
up just saying, "What the shit is going on right now?"
Yeah.
And you lose yourself because you haven't taken, like you said, you put yourself last.
And I have been.
Well, I want to ask you something, Shannon. Something that you said at the very beginning of this topic, and it's because it's been said to me as well, and I wanted to see, what kind of impact it had on you. And you don't have to answer this. Last year, someone very close to me as well said, "Now I'm ready for the same kind of situation that you're going through."
Mhm.
And had a huge impact on me. Like when I read it, like I was sitting outside smoking a cigar, drinking whiskey, and this person texted me that, and I immediately just started sitting there crying by myself. What kind of impact did it have on? I mean, did that change anything, or what kind of impact did that hearing that statement have on you?
When my dad said that,
Mhm.
Man, how do I answer this?
However you want to.
I agreed with him.
Why?
I know the state of his body and his mind.
There's nothing you could do to change it.
There's nothing I could do to change it. He towards the end he was dealing with some serious health problems. I think less than 10 years ago he had bladder cancer and they had to remove his bladder. So he was dealing with that. He has to have a bag and all that other stuff, and that really affected him mentally.
It's a hit to the ego.
It 100%, because he's a very strong dude and he can do whatever and he could bench a house and whatever. But so that really, really messed him up mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happened and he stopped going outside, stopped going out in the yard, because he would always talk about, like, he'd try to go. There was a little thing that he could attach the bag to his leg under his pants, but he'd go out to do something and the bag would leak and he'd be embarrassed and, and all the other shit. So he stopped going out. He stopped being mobile. And all he did was sit in his rocking chair, his big old comfy chair, and just watch Westerns. So then what happens? Your body atrophies and you start losing strength.
And his mind is also wishing he was one of those guys on the screen.
100%.
Yeah.
And there was times here towards the end that he actually thought he was in the movie. He was talking to the people, and and I'm watching this, and as somebody that's been very strong-willed his whole life, and he's one of 24 kids.
Jesus.
He was raised in the hills of Kentucky, in Pikeville, Kentucky. He was born in 1935. So you just think about growing up in that era, that time, that place. He's done everything himself.
Yeah.
He's never had to ask anybody for anything. And now he's getting to a point in his life where he has to start depending on people. And I remember I got a phone call one day, and this was 2 years ago. This might have been when I was in school. I think I left school. My mom called me like, your dad fell and I can't get him up and he can't get up. And what happened, and he went to sit down in his chair and he missed the chair and he fell straight to the ground. And there was nobody else around. I had to physically take every cell in my body to pick. He's probably 300 pounds at the time.
Oof.
And I was literally standing with my 2 feet on the arms of the chair, and I grabbed this man and I hoisted him up with every piece of my strength to get him back in that chair. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he was weeping and just embarrassed and like boy, you didn't have to come over here and blah, blah, all that shit. And it just, so as it went on, he just kept getting weaker and weaker, and he was having problems walking and just doing things for himself. And about 6-7 months ago, he just started saying, I'm ready. I don't have much longer. And
It's probably why.
yeah. And then, in his throes of his dementia, he was seeing his mom and dad, like talking to them like they're in heaven, and like he's like telling them, I'll be coming home soon, and
Oh.
I got to sit there and watch this. And then just, it breaks your heart. But spiritually, I've been ready. Emotionally, it's never easy, but spiritually, I'm actually strong in that department.
Good.
But yeah, when he said it didn't wreck me. It didn't wreck me. I almost was like, okay.
So when my grandfather fell ill a couple of years ago, the last month, he was having issues remembering who was who and everything like that while he was in the hospital. And it's weird. My mom told me this when she visited him at the hospital. The day before he passed was the most mentally clear he had been in years.
You always have that up.
He had his,
like he knew exactly who everybody was. He remembered stories from decades ago. Like here's a man that for a month couldn't remember who his kids were, and then all of a sudden the day before he remembers everything.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the way it works.
he had his moment. So this past Friday, I know everybody was coming to the hospital, and apparently he was in there and he was like recognizing everybody, kind of talking to everybody. They were singing a little bit, and I guess it was like a really good day from what everybody was messaging me. I was like, cool. So I show up. So they left about 4:30. I think they said they left the hospital, and I got there about 6:30. It was just me. And I walked in his room, and he couldn't even put a word together. Like he was gone.
Yeah.
And a nurse came in to help him like clean him up a little bit, and he put his hands up like he was scared, and he was like so scared in the moment. I'm like, what? Like, this is not what everybody told me,
Yeah.
know? And I saw in that moment, like, this is it.
So I want to take this conversation if I could. So Sean, who's also in the garage, he's not on the mics here tonight, but I'm not putting the camera on. You put your hat on. It's fine.
You want to bring him in?
No. I mean, he can come over and grab a mic. I mean,
Hell no.
You can grab my mic. That's fine. No one likes to hear from me anyways. It's my garage. I just
You're just
so
here, man.
I'm just here to facilitate. I think this is the second one, and everyone else that contributed on the community page, I appreciate it because I feel like there were a lot of good topic suggestions, and I do want to get to those as we go forward. So he shared with me, it was a tweet from someone it was Adam Grant, who I don't know who that person is. Don't put it off on your wife. I was saying it was great. Too many conversations end with people assuming they're on the same page, only to learn later that they weren't. Quote, the greatest enemy of communication is the illusion of it. End quote. William White. The meeting isn't over until you've asked everyone, what are the key takeaways? One of the reasons we do the closing remarks on this podcast is much the same, right? Sometimes you summarize some things. Sometimes new things come to the table. But I thought that was very much related. And I don't like, to your point, Sean, I will say, like, your wife sent this to you, not maybe knowing what Shannon had posted, but I looked at these two that they really tied in very well together. Because it doesn't matter what the situation is to me. I've tried to be myself overly communicative to a fault sometimes. I will admit my faults. I will tell my feelings. I'll even put it out on social media because I know that someone else out there that is in my social circle, whether it be social media or otherwise, listen to the podcast. There's someone out there that's either dealing with it, has dealt with it, or can't deal with it. And those two things, like Shannon, what you brought up about time and energy being finite, what are you gonna do with what you have left? And this introducing this. I don't know, Shannon, you spent some time with your dad, your grandfather, your dad. There are a lot of times I feel like people will feel like they said their piece, and the other party will say, "I understand," and you take that as they understand.
Yeah.
The conversation's over. Days, months, years later, there was not an understanding. So, how do you guys take that introduction into the conversation? I know my feelings on it, but
Well, I've been talking.
have you
a
said your
lot,
piece?
So, have I said my piece?
Yeah. Dustin, get in anytime.
I love how everyone just looks at me.
I'll just say this real quick, and then I'll let you take over. But yeah, I have said my piece. Friday night, by the grace of God, I got my alone time with him, and I sat there for a few hours, and I just spilled my guts out, and just made sure he knew that he raised me right, and that I will carry the name on, and I will do it proud.
You already have.
Thank you. And nothing he did, like, the good and the bad of being raised as an adopted child. There was some bad and some good. I mean, there's more good than bad, but I took those lessons and I put them into motion, and it's made me who I am. And I just wanted him to know that. And then last night, or the days are running together.
Understood, man.
Last night, me and my wife went there, and we had our alone time together with him, and just got to sit with him. I told him it was okay to let go, that we're going to be okay. And the biggest thing for me was I got to pray over him and just let him know that he's loved, and yeah, he was a good man. And I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna stop right
Love it, man. Thank you for sharing. I think whether someone leaves you through death, or someone walks out of your life, or a career is cut short, I'm not making light of this. You struggle with all of it, and things are out of your control. But what I took Sean's comment here, as far as the topic, is you got to at least put everything you have into that sense of communication.
Yeah.
You never want to walk away from a situation, whether it be an everyday situation or a life-changing event, that you didn't put all of yourself out there. Because you at least then will know that the other person knows how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
They know where you're coming from. And sometimes you can't change the fact that health is failing. You also can't change the fact that they don't feel the same way.
Right.
But you cannot hold back.
I honestly, if I'm being transparent here, I almost didn't go last night.
Why?
That fear of letting it all out.
Why?
In our family, feelings aren't a thing,
Right.
And so that was always just how I was raised. Like, you keep them in check.
Did it feel good?
Oh, it felt amazing. And last
Why?
night was the first time I actually, because I was scared to touch him.
Yeah.
And last night I actually put my hand in his hand and I let it all out, and it was the best thing I've done.
Because you put yourself out there,
I put myself
which is a huge
way
fear for
out
people.
there. 100%.
Because you don't want to have that loss. You want to have your good memories of them. Just like every other aspect of life. You put yourself out there, there's a fear that it's not going to go the way you want it to go, which you would love for him to live another several years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd love to have that, whatever the situation is, you'd love to have it go the way that you're stewing on it. And the fear of putting yourself out there and giving all the best communication you can about how you're feeling or what you want out of something.
Mm.
The blowback of it not going the way you want it to go is what you're I think, and again, I'm not an expert, that's what you're avoiding. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's very emotionally, in a sense, you are making yourself open to be, in a sense, be victim to things out of your control. But I love hearing from you is that after you did that, now you did everything you could. So where the future goes, where life goes, where death goes, now you have done everything. So when you look back, you said your piece.
Mm-hmm.
You made sure that you communicated that that person is loved, that you enjoyed and still enjoy them in your life. So that there's no regrets.
That was the overwhelming driving force. It was like, if I don't go, then that regret's going to be there.
Oh, you don't want that.
And I didn't want that. And so we did it. And I'm at total peace with everything right now.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Long distance cheers between you two.
It's you out there. I know I talked to my dad's grave. Yeah. It was much more sudden. Didn't have a chance to say goodbye. So it was one of those things where it's like, not that I neglected it, but there's always that I should have said more. I should have done this. I should have done that. So having that opportunity to have that, if you're given that opportunity, to deal with someone that's either passing or someone that, you always, I am a big proponent of always maybe even overdoing it sometimes, because you have to make your feelings and your thoughts known.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, what if I would have said this? What if I would have said how I was feeling? What if I would have done that? Would have changed anything? And a lot of times it won't. But at least you gave it your all. It's out there.
It has to be out there.
And there's that small sliver sometimes that him hearing that, or whatever this other situation in your life is, that other party hearing that, it might connect.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it,
sometimes we wreck ourselves with the whole shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Well, if you don't, it's the same old thing with, again, not trying to belittle this by any means, but it's the same thing with sports. If you don't take the shot, you don't know if you're going to make it or not. Right?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead,
Shannon,
Dustin.
To your point, I'll kind of dive into a couple things. So, Steve, I can relate to what you just said about your dad. My grandfather on my mom's side passed away probably 4 or 5 years ago, give or take. I wasn't close with him really as much as I probably could have. Growing up, when we would go to their house, I kind of always dreaded it because I grew up in the country. He was on a farm. He was always working. So when we went there, we went to work, even at a young age. I remember one of the phrases he always told me, we'd be down at the barn. I'd be standing there. I'd put my hands in my pocket and he'd look at me and goes, "Is your hands cold?" No. Well, you're not going to get any work done with your hands in your pocket. You're right, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Pull them out. And then I found myself using that same line at work with some
Right.
associates, just kind of
Life
cracking a
lessons,
joke.
man.
Yeah. And he didn't really battle dementia. He had COPD from working at a grain mill with chemicals and stuff like that, ammonias and stuff like that for the fields. But my dad told me the day before he did pass, my dad walked in and was talking to him. And as my dad walked in, my grandpa looked at him and looked past him and nodded. Like just looked in the doorway and nodded. There was no one there. But there was someone there to him. And that was kind of his, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never really got to say goodbye or anything like that. When my dad called me to tell me that he had passed, I was actually at the gym. And, I broke down. I went back home, And I never thought that it would affect me the way that it had. Looking back, I wish I could have appreciated it more and him more. But at the same time, I also look back and realize that I have a lot of the same qualities from him that I learned over the years, as far as that hard work ethic.
Yeah.
You put in the time, you put in the effort. Even if it means you don't get to spend a lot of time with your family, you put in the work to provide for your family. So I've really taken that to heart. But on the flip side, now, and especially recently, even leading up to the wedding, I've been on the job search for probably close to a year now.
Yep.
Looking for something different. I want a better work-life balance. I want, a role that, I'm going to feel more appreciated, have a better career path, because I want to be able to not only provide for Kathy and Cadence, but I want to be there for them. I want to be able to go to Cadence's dance rehearsals or recitals or competitions or whatever it is and just be there for her. I remember my mom telling me when I was little, I was at playing t-ball, and I walked up to my mom and I said, why isn't Daddy here? And my mom had to, sit there and say, well, Dad's working. My dad worked full time and then would go home, load up the trailers. And we had a lawn care business that he did for 30 years. And he had 85, 90 accounts that he would do on top of working full time. So, he never really got to go to a lot of the stuff that we did. And I don't want to give that to them, and that's Kathy and Cadence, because I want to be there for them.
Yeah.
I tell Kathy all the time how much I love her. I tell her every morning when I get up for work, even if she's still asleep, I'll kiss her on the forehead, tell her I love her, and I leave for work. I make sure, and this is just the way I've always been, that I am always telling both of them how much I love them, because you don't know if the next day is guaranteed. I'll be the first one to say I probably say it too much. She would probably argue it.
Can you?
You can't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. But Saturday was just absolutely magical for me. One of my best friends, Moose, it's his nickname. He was one of my groomsmen.
Good
dude. He asked me the night before. He said, "How do you feel?" And I told him, "So I'm nervous." He goes, "No. How do you feel about the wedding?" I said, "I'm excited. I'm happy." He said, "No, those are all normal feelings. How do you feel?" I sat there and I was like, I don't
know what you mean.
I've told you everything like that I feel. So when the day came, and Kathy gave me, I got the gift that Kathy gave me, and I'm opening them up. And there's different notes in there, and she gave me a bottle of Woodford that she had created a custom label for, that just had a letter from her and our wedding date, just telling me how much I mean to her, how much she loves me, how proud she is. And then there's other notes in there. And then there was, of course, a hanky in there that she customized that said at the top for "When you cry like a baby," because I did.
You did. You did. Yeah, you did.
But after I opened all that, and
You
I
did
wiped
well, though, man. You did well.
after I wiped away all the tears, Moose walks up and he goes, "How do you feel?" And I said, "Everything's right." He said, "That's what I'm looking
That's
for."
the
There you
answer.
go.
That's
There
the
you go.
answer.
And it's that kind of love that the two of us have that I'll always cherish, that I'll always look back at that day. And it's what I see every day when I look at her. And that's something that I'm going to continue to do throughout our lives together.
Yeah.
Not just because, we're married, she's the love of my life, but because if something were to happen that one of us gets to the end of the road that, our time is up, I want to make sure that that communication's there, it's sound, it's heard, and that we both know exactly how we feel for one another.
Yeah.
At the same time, it goes for any of my family, any of my friends. And it was an eye-opening experience, the wedding was. And it wasn't just for Kathy and I, but it was for life in general.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll give you a number to shoot for your marriage.
This is very interesting.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
So my parents, they've been married 67 years.
Oh, you got to live a long time, bud.
Yeah, but
Get after it.
I got to make it to 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
My great aunt and uncle, they didn't have any kids. They were like grandkids. We were like grandkids to them, and they were like grandparents to us. It was the same way. I know it's funny because I tried to find a picture of my Uncle Sib when he was still alive, and the only one that I could find was ironically from their 60th wedding anniversary. And my Aunt Jeannie is still alive. She's 95 now, I think.
Yeah.
Still kicking. But no, it's one of those things that you never know how much your words mean to someone until you say them.
There you go.
well, I
That's
think
it right
I think
there.
the important thing with what Sean was saying in that with what he shared is how important it is to actually say them.
Exactly. And it's not just to say them, though, either. It's to mean it. Because you can sit there and you can say, yeah, no, I love you. I love you too. No, it's love
mean
you.
it, and then you gotta act it, live it.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's the little things.
We've had some episodes before where we've talked about communication, and I remember my wife had chimed in either through the live feed or through her texting me.
Just through texting. She never chimes in.
Well, she tries to on Facebook or on YouTube, but
Yeah.
we only see the Facebook comments.
Facebook.com.
But she had quoted someone that as soon as Steve read what Sean had posted and what you were saying, Dustin, reminded me of it. To be unclear is to be unkind.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So
Bible verse, right?
no, it's not a Bible verse.
I think it's in the Bible.
Could be.
It maybe in the book of Second Opinions.
No, first.
Opinion routing.
Old
Confucius?
Testament.
But no, the
Confucius say?
That's not in the Bible. I don't think.
but no, the
Might be Old Testament.
the whole
Old
point of
Testament.
it is, because with what Sean posted, you think you've said what you needed to say, but it wasn't clear to either party, maybe to one party or the other, like what was actually said or what was actually meant. Did we agree upon?
Is it understood?
But that's the thing. That's why I said, like, you have to make sure you have to be clear in what you're saying, in what you mean, your intentions. You have to be clear on what it is you're trying to get across, because anything less than that, it's going to fall short.
Yeah.
It's going to create a confusion that isn't
And
unnecessary.
yes, and that applies whether it's relationships or career. If one party is unhappy with the way things are, they need to make that known. Otherwise, the other party's just going to keep on going like nothing's wrong, but you're going to be sitting there like, no, there's a lot of things wrong. But the other party doesn't know that. And sometimes in relationships, like we blame the other party for not knowing something's wrong when we haven't told them something's wrong.
I used
Yeah.
the light bulb in the closet. If you remember that, you remember that? It's been a while back.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't know why you're upset.
I didn't know there was a problem. I didn't know the light.
I
was
don't
out.
go in that closet. How do I know the light bulb is out in that closet and you want me to fix it? That's your closet. How am I supposed to know that closet light bulb is out and you are upset that we didn't change that light bulb?
It's been out for a month. Again,
How did I
don't go
know?
in there. Like,
Shannon, I'll give you a little story about my grandfather to kind of revert back a little bit. I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to tell him that I love him or anything like that. What I did have was a very unique, surprising dream. To this day, I can't explain it. To this day, I'm the only one who's ever had this dream in my family or anything related to it. But I was standing somewhere, and it was all white, and I saw 3 people in front of me. And I was just kind of saying, like, I didn't see me, and I was just seeing through my eyes. And I could hear, like, inaudible voices talking. And there was a gentleman here. There was a lady. And there was another gentleman kind of behind them. And the gentleman behind them was a kind of heavier set guy, blue jeans, denim snap button shirt. Was kind of leaning up against the wall and had a shit-eating grin on his face. It was my grandpa. That's what he always wore.
double denim.
Double denim.
Canadian tuxedo. Sean.
Canadian tuxedo.
No, I'm sorry. I know.
I think that's with
You want to talk
jacket
about
as well.
not growing up with much. He would always have a poor man's dessert after dinner, and it was a glass of whole milk, and he would tear up bread and put in it.
Yeah, buddy.
It's filling.
Yeah. But I remember the guy talking to the lady. I couldn't hear what they were saying.
Yeah.
But the lady looked back and said, "No, I just said he didn't want to talk." Or, yeah, Otis said he didn't want to talk. I was confused. I was like, who the fuck is Otis? And I see in the back, my grandpa's smiling and nodding. I was like, what the hell? So I wake up. And I call my mom. I said, Mom, did Grandpa ever have any friends or family or anything like that by the name of Otis? Mom's like, no. But call your grandma, she might know. So I'm like, okay. So I call my grandma. So, Grandma, did Grandpa have any friends or family or anyone by the name of Otis? And she said, well, no. But his dad's name was Oda. O-D-A. I said, okay. And she goes, well, why do you ask? I said, well, I just want to let you know Grandpa's fine.
Wow.
Everything's going to be okay.
Wow.
And it was one of those things like I didn't get to say goodbye. I always felt like I didn't get to say enough, that I was never enough for him because he was always paying attention to our oldest cousin who was a basketball star, always went to all the games and everything. But that dream kind of solidified a lot of things for me, that even though I didn't get to say goodbye, even though I didn't get to say the things that I wanted to or meant to, everything was fine. Everything was clear. And that at the end of the day, he was proud. And he still loved me.
Love it.
Perfect.
Love it. Nate's looking for a cheers. You can't hear it on the audio, and Dustin didn't see it at first.
His peripheral's better than Sean's.
I was going to say,
That's so
I was
cool.
gonna say that. That's what I was thinking.
How can you not see this? Sean's not up
right
here.
there. He's right there.
Oh, hey, Sean.
Oh my god! I forget who the guest was, and he was on.
AJ.
Yeah, AJ.
It was AJ. AJ
was
tried to give him
giving-
a fist bump, and Sean had no
just
idea.
sitting there like,
Stonewall him.
And then later on, Sean explained. He's like, "Yeah, I have no peripheral. I can't see anything past here." And AJ's like, "Oh shit!"
It was hysterical, other than the fact that Sean has no peripheral vision.
He's taking a driving
You
test.
always just turn your head, mirrors all the time.
Yeah.
Driver's test.
You can't
click.
You can't do what Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day. You can't do the side of the eye. Side of the eye. You can't do that.
Last time I was at the B&B for that stuff, it was very loose.
Yeah.
Very loose. It was almost as bad as the first time I took a DOT test for my hearing. If you guys remember that story. First time I had my DOT, this is a real quick side story. First time I had a DOT driving test, like for health. Sitting in a room, no headphones, no nothing. Sat down, sat in a chair. You remember this story now?
Yes, I do.
I can tell by your laugh. Sitting in a chair, I'm looking at a fucking wall.
Because I've had a lot of hearing tests, and this is just completely different from everyone I've ever had.
Everyone after that was, but all I heard, like I'm sitting there, and like there's one lady in the room. She walks back in the corner. Can you hear this? What's that? Yeah, I can hear it. Okay, good. Face forward. Yes, ma'am. Goes to the right corner of the room.
Fuck.
Can you hear this? Yeah. All right, next test. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Bro, I got a test.
You are very, very like just dialed into the decibels that I'm supposed to hear.
Oh yeah,
bro.
My hearing test makes a funny chart.
Marks here, guys. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
No,
so I had one of my DOT physical tests, and they went to this new doctor or whatever to do our test. So I go in, and there's all these bus drivers sitting there. I'm like, wow, shit, all right, cool. I sit down. The doctor calls me in. He literally walks up. He looks me in the eyes. He's like, he does the finger thing. I'm like, all right, I see you.
DUI on the way in or what?
No. I followed his finger.
Follow my pen.
He literally grabs my arm, shakes my arm, grabs my other arm, shakes it, hits my knee. He's like, you're good. And I walked out. I was like, these mother.
So is that the test to become a truck driver you did?
No, that's not the test. He was just getting them in and getting them out.
All
he had a
room. Shannon was healthy that day in 1934.
Right. And I remember standing. I looked at him. I was like, "That's it." He was like, "Yeah, we're good." I was like,
"Take a shot of whiskey on the way out. The receptionist will give it to you."
I never had
to clear up whatever's ailing you.
Usually the tests are, like,
here's some opiates,
all kinds of tests, earring, the whole.
Here's Coca-Cola when it had cocaine still in it.
I was like, my arms work, my knees work. All right, we're good. All right, we're good.
What the fuck?
And if they didn't, you're like, well, 1 out of 2 knees aren't bad.
Yeah, you only need one for the gas. It's good.
That's your driving me.
As long as your gas.
Are you using a clutch? No, I'm not using a clutch. You're good. As oh, thank God for medicine. I think that's where we're at again. Close remarks. Glad you passed though.
Barely.
Right. Tripped on the way out.
Tripped on the way.
You got a 73.
Sir, the doorway is over here. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Let's put that guy behind a semi.
Oh, that was great.
I had a DOT one where it's a little heavier, and they did the neck measurement, and I was clinically obese.
Yes.
Yeah. We're worried about you. Are you?
You're
not. You're not. I'm good.
You want to arm wrestle?
Miss, you will lose. And that's what whiskey will do to a podcast.
It's the greatest thing.
It can be. Closing remarks. Before we get into the closing remarks, I want to thank our sponsors again, Tinder Box at Easton, for the Oliva Series V. Again, part 1, we review that along with the Castle and Key Restoration Kentucky Rye Whiskey. Check that out as well. If anyone out there from Castle and Key is still listening or listened to any part of this or looked at the tags, we would love to try batch number 2. But we actually reviewed very highly both the Oliva V and the Castle and Key release. Altadis USA. I'm smoking the Reserva Real Nicaragua. Great medium body cigar. AJ Fernandez. Cigar Company is also a sponsor. The golds are coming in hopefully soon. Had a nice conversation
Killing
on
me,
Monday
bro.
about that. They should be. No, I'm not getting that. Don't look at me like that.
To be unclear is to be unkind.
Yeah, well, I'm being clear as I can be. The silver is available, and it's great medium, full-bodied Espinosa cigar. And every time Eric Espinosa smokes it himself, he's like, "God damn, I forgot how peppery this is. It's a great smoke." And he loves it. And also patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. If you guys want to contribute, we would absolutely love it. It helps us doing this every week. Sean Anderson, love your comments. Share this, guys, on your personal feed to anyone that wants to enjoy it. If you're listening on the audio, please like, review, share it. This is where it's at. We love the financial contributions with the Patreon and anyone that donates a bottle. We appreciate that. You guys are amazing. I had another person, Jerry Dazensky, actually donated a bottle from Detroit sitting up there.
Oh,
it's
nice.
going to be a new reviewed bottle. I need to let him know when we're reviewing that. But you guys are amazing.
Is he with someone or just someone that listens? And
he's just a fan.
Cool.
Came in today to the shop and dropped that off.
Awesome.
Rock
Love
star.
that.
Also gave a nice Kirkland bed for Tony.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, just a good dude.
Wow.
Just a
Damn.
real good dude.
Solid.
I have a
If you want to donate anything to Tony,
I got a 70-pound pit bull that would
But so that being said, guys, check out patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. And we would love to have you guys support this. And we will have more raffle prizes. And again, I'm working on t-shirts, and I want you guys to vote on the Bourbon and BS community page when I post that in the next week or so on what color shirt you want for the first one. But closing remarks. What happened?
I was just reading Sean's.
Yeah, he hasn't
Talking
washed it
shit.
yet. I gave him a 2X and it fit him fine.
No,
He
no,
didn't
no.
wash it.
Said I picked up 3 bottles to compare my taste to the Russian judge.
Those were some damn good bottles.
They were.
I gave every single one of those bottles at least a 9.
Sean, that rye was lights out, dude.
There you
It's,
go.
it's good. It's some good shit.
If you like the rye, you ought to try barrel 4.
So closing remarks, guys. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Just come
Don't
to my
tune
house,
out
man.
yet. I want to hear what these guys have to say, and you can tune out when I have my closing remarks as usual. But Shannon, I want to ask you to do your closing remarks on the topics at hand. Time and energy, as well as the conversation piece that Sean brought in.
So time and energy. I guess it comes down to looking at your life, looking at where you're putting your time and your energy, and seeing if you're lacking in any departments, either physical, mental, relational, with your wife or loved one or whoever it is. And like we say, find a balance. You know, it's easy to get out of balance. And I think balance is the key to life. We can get focused on one thing in our life or the other, and then shit falls apart somewhere else. So I think really just try to balance it out. I think life will be a smidge easier with balance.
Yeah.
It's always going to be, life is always hard, but balance will help. Energy, just put that energy into it, whatever it is. Divide that energy amongst all those areas. And then when you're talking with somebody, just be clear with your words. I think sometimes we like to dance around with words and not get to the point. Why?
Yeah. Why?
Feelings. There's a lot of feelings involved with words. Words
on both sides, right?
It's on both sides, but
You're worried you're going to say too much. You're worried that it's not
like
gonna
the
come across
person
right.
saying the words, you don't want to hurt somebody, or you don't want to lead somebody on, or
freak them out.
So I think direct wording is always the best wording. No matter
Full disclosure.
no matter where that falls and feelings, at least they know where you and they stand. And just, I guess if I close it out, just love on the ones you love, and squeeze your loved ones tight. Tell them
Yes, sir.
tell them what they mean to you and what you mean to them, and I think that's the greatest gift you can give somebody. You just let them know that they're loved and appreciated, and we all have our faults, and love those faults too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
Thank you.
Dustin does his, will your Traeger hold 120-pound split hog? Sean's asking.
Absolutely not.
Damn.
I got the little boy Traeger.
We're gonna have to do a pig roast in my backyard. So
Yeah, I've only got the 572. Sorry.
Damn.
I might need a bigger shovel. Dustin.
No, I think Shannon really hit it home with a lot of the stuff. You know, one thing Kathy and I keep talking about is, you know, we feel like there's never enough time in the world today because everything is so fast paced. You know, we feel like we're always being rushed somewhere, rushed here, rushed there, you know, onto the next thing, onto work, onto, you know, a rehearsal, or, you know, even when running errands, you know, you feel like you got to go boom, 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 you know, in, out, and, you know, you don't really get or feel like you have a chance to, like, take a moment, sit down and breathe. And I think it just kind of goes back to that whole, you know, scheduling that time, even if it is just scheduling a time to sit down with your loved ones and watch a movie, or play a board game or something, you know. But it's all about utilizing that time wisely, and really using it to spend the time you can with the people that mean the most to you. And the communication piece is key. And that's something that, you know, I've worked on a lot, especially, you know, with Kathy and Cadence, and, you know, the people that I'm close with, is, you know, just communicating effectively, making sure that it's a level playing field, making sure that there is that mutual understanding across the board, but also talking to the people that mean the most to you.
Yes.
You know, again, you know, my wedding kind of shed some light on some of the friendships that I have, you know, the people that come out to support me. You know, I need to do a better job of just reaching out to them, and even just talking, saying, "Hey, how you doing?" and keeping that contact in. You know, all the guys that were there, you know, I wouldn't have been able to get through everything that I did and make it the day that it was without them.
Right.
And it just kind of made me take a step back and kind of realize, you know, I need to be better at just even checking in, and just kind of showing that appreciation. You know, and I'll kind of leave it with something. So I found myself watching gaming streamers recently, and there's one that I like to watch. He's really entertaining, but he always starts all of his videos with, you know, the normal spiel and stuff like that. But he always says one line that the first time I heard it, it kind of took me a second. Like, did he really just say that? But then the more I watch him, the more I realize, you know, it's very important. It's tell somebody you love them.
Yeah.
It could be anybody, but tell somebody you love them, because you don't know the impact that those words will have on someone, even if it's someone you care about. So, to everyone who is still listening, I challenge each and every one of you guys, go out there and just tell somebody you love them.
Do you remember my my speech?
Absolutely.
What was the 2 key points?
This is the best movie I've ever watched.
No.
And
Sidebar.
I'm ready for the sequel. We're watching the sequel. And the proposal was 3 romantic comedies wrapped
Did I
into
say
one.
that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
And that Kathy and I
Did anyone
have.
videotape that? I'd love to hear it.
I do. You want to? I'll play it right now for everybody to
Nah,
hear.
you probably shouldn't.
Not right now. Not right now.
Nah, right now. It was
No.
good, right?
It was phenomenal.
Good enough.
I played it again for Kathy, and it brought a tear to her eye.
Good tears,
So,
right? Not
yeah,
like
absolutely.
I can't believe you invited him.
No, it was good
Him?
tears.
Your best man, him?
The
What
other
the fuck?
the other key thing that you said that really meant a lot to me is the fact that you said Kathy and I have that classic love.
Yes. That was the only note I had in my head.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it a few times,
Yeah, I know.
but it's important. So thank you.
Nate, can I say something before you go real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about when you were talking and everything about
Me or Dustin?
when
Dustin,
Dustin, when
okay.
Dustin was speaking.
Doesn't give me more than rye.
Yep.
Just real quick, just we always think love is this grandiose thing that we got to do, this big moment, this big grand gesture we have to do for our loved ones. I will challenge that with it's the small things. It's the little tiny things that you don't think means anything.
Like going home and turning off a mower.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't go home.
She figured it
You
out.
worked it out. But every morning, like me getting ready to go to the shop, I always make Shannon a cup of coffee.
Mm.
To
too.
me, that's just me, making coffee. But one day she ended up writing something about how much that cup of coffee meant to her. It was the smallest, stupidest thing that I'm just on an autopilot. It's just something I do. But to that person, that's everything.
So it wasn't small and it wasn't stupid.
No. Yeah. And I didn't think about it like that, but those small, tiny
Being
gestures
genuine.
being genuine, like, yeah. So I would say just those small little gestures that you don't think mean shit to somebody is probably impactful.
And if it's not right.
Right.
So that's how you know it is. That's what I saw in the wedding this last weekend was when I talked about classic love is exactly that. That's how you know why you're at that altar with that woman. Nate, go ahead and top that.
Don't forget Steve
you
still
asshole.
has to go.
Oh, there's been several episodes. I'm like, all right, well, they said everything. All right. I had a whole thing loaded up.
Oh, it reminds
I
me of
just thought of
it reminds me of the Martin Short, Steve Martin stand up they did. Top that motherfucker. So both topics that we covered tonight, one of the themes that was stuck in my head is something that my company had every employee go through. I don't know how to describe it, but this kind of culture training. And one of the things that they really tried to harp on was this phrase, be here now. And they actually gave everyone this little plastic stand-up sign or whatever to keep on your desk and whatnot. And when I was in the office, I always had that on top of one of my monitor stations. So that way it was always right in front of me. So anytime I would go into a meeting, I'd always flip that up. So that way it's right in front of me. Be here now. Be in the meeting. Be in the moment right now. I think sometimes we focus too much in the future that we neglect the present. And then I think sometimes we also focus too much on the past to enjoy the present as well. We let our past hold us back from enjoying the moment now. And what Shane was talking about with what's going on with him and being able to have those conversations with his father, he was in the moment. He wasn't looking forward to the times he wouldn't have his dad. He wasn't looking necessarily back at all the times he had his dad. He was looking at them right now. What can he do right now? What can he say right now? What matters right now? And then also when Shannon talked about, being in balance, there are some times in your life you actually need imbalance. And what I mean by that, so if you want to accomplish something, whatever it is, sometimes that needs to be a primary focus. My wife always relates that to farming, agriculture. Got a moth flying around my head. So like, for farmers, when it comes time to actually harvest their crop, like they are working all day long to try and bring that harvest in because they have a window of opportunity to actually get that job done and get the most out of all the work that they've put in leading up to that. And if they try and sit there and balance the work and home life, then that work part actually might suffer because they might not get accomplished what they need to accomplish. But if they take the time to focus on what they need to do right now, that opens the door for them to be able to focus on the other side later, to then have everything be in balance. But they need to achieve that particular goal at the moment. So like when he was on and he talked about leaving his career as a truck driver to become a barber, he put a lot of focus and energy into school and how to become a barber because he knew that if he were to be able to make that transition, that would bring a better balance to his life. But he had to focus on that particular thing right then and there in order to be able to accomplish that. Because if he tried to balance school with the home life and with work that he was still doing at the time, then his school and his future goals may have suffered. He may not have passed. He may not have gotten to where he needed to get to. So sometimes you have to make those sacrifices to actually make something a priority. So that way in the long run, everything else works out. Because now that you are a barber, you don't have to focus all the time on training and necessarily doing better. You do better while you're at work. And so you're accomplishing that future goal now, but because you put in all the sweat equity before, now it's a little easier to make things balanced.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not about being balanced 100% of the time. Sometimes you have to sit there and go, I want to be balanced. What do I have to focus on in the now in order to be able to get there?
Touche.
Your wife's now commenting on the feed, by the way.
I know.
Weird.
After I called her out for not doing so.
I also challenged her to follow on Facebook.
How about have her on the podcast? No.
Yes. She's got your seat for a week.
Okay.
For both of you.
Right.
We have to do Sean and Teresa week as well. Shannon. I'll just sit on the side. I have nothing to contribute to that. To Shannon's comment, with time and energy, what are you going to do with it? That's how I took it. Finite. Sean's comment about conversations, and sometimes there's an illusion there that it has been communicated. I said earlier is that you have to put it all out there. When you do that, when you have to have clarity inside yourself. So start with yourself, right? Your feelings, what you want, all that stuff. When you really communicate, you have to mean what you say. And that is the first point. The fact is you might have another 40 years on your lifespan. Now you got to do what you mean.
Wasn't
So
that an episode?
maybe we've had 178 now.
It was.
as of tonight. But I look at this and it's like you can have the best intentions. You can pour your heart out. You can say what you mean, but you really need to do the same thing. You have to follow through. I look at this is with personal relationships, with professional, everything else in your life, health, everything. I'm going to start on Monday. Okay. Well, it's Tuesday. How was Monday? Well, it didn't go. It didn't. I got busy. No, I think that you have to be 100% transparent with yourself, and then that will transfer to if you communicate everything. Shannon, cheers to your dad and your family. This is something that is so important.
Ching.
Transfer it over there. You're going to slip up. You're not going to be able to follow through all the time 100% because you are a person. You will not be able to always do what you mean or what you say, but there has to be that effort there because you have to be true to yourself. I look at this as something that if you want to get healthier, if you want to lose weight, if you want to do that, that's on you. Just fucking do it. If you're up against the wall with a loved one, whether it be someone that is, it's called like it is, man, on their last days, whether it be the next couple days or a couple weeks, another year, you've done everything that made you feel like you have put yourself out there. Every time that you guys are up against something that you feel like you have been confronted with, Dustin, you said this, you didn't have that chance to say goodbye. I didn't have my chance to say goodbye to my dad. Anytime that you have a friendship, a relationship, no matter what it is, a career, you have to be true to yourself, and that has to be communicated. Mm-hmm. And where you're at right now in life isn't always where you're going to be. So you have to continue, like Shannon was saying, he's reading now every day. Continue to work on yourself. That's how you can be truer to yourself. And therefore, that's where people are going to, I don't know, the first word was respect, but it will be more impactful if it is not just words. And it's not this step-by-step where it's, I'm going to say this and then I'll do it. No, it's why am I saying this? It's because that's where I'm at. You have to reverse that. You have to rewind a little bit that every day, what am I doing today so that in 5 days, 5 months, whatever it might be, that I am more true to my words and my feelings, that when I say something, I'm not catching up afterwards. So when that conversation happens and you have only amount of time and energy left, you've already done the groundwork. This is how success happens. It's not always going to be what you want, but you know it's what is needed. And at least with yourself, you can at least sleep better at night because you are a more whole person because you've actually built up the groundwork. You build the foundation. You've done everything that even if you slip up, that's one slip up. You're still your core person. Are you the person that you want to be? And if you make a mistake, are you still the person you want to be with that mistake?
That's good.
I know what you've been going through lately, and I know where that's coming from. And
it is coming from that, but it's
very genuine.
It's genuine, but it's also very transferable to anything else you're doing. Because when everything's clicking for you, it will absolutely impact people around you, whether they are, Shannon, to your father, if they're on their deathbed, whether they may not understand what you're saying, you know that it's going to hit home with them. And also for those of us that continue on, when you visit that grave, which you will,
Yeah.
you can have that same conversation. And you know that you are the man, the woman that you want to be, and you want to continue to grow, because that is a lifestyle, whether it's health, relationship, or career, that you're doing your best. If you can say you're doing your best, if you can feel, again, do what you say, mean what you
do. Yeah.
You got to do it. And you will slip up again, Shannon.
Oh,
Dustin,
yeah,
you're going to slip
100%.
up. You're going to slip up in your new marriage. Sorry. Spoiler alert.
Have
Kath, if you're
have you
listening,
Call
slipped up
me.
in your relationship at all? Yeah, that doesn't change.
Dustin, just
Yeah.
call me when you fuck up.
but I got to tell you this, guys. I appreciate you guys listening to this, and I really, really want everyone to start with their core so that you can be the better man, the better woman, better whatever, for the people around you, because that's when you will feel more at peace. And I don't think that we understand how much impact that we have on people
Oh, jeez, yeah.
when there is integrity in who you are as a person. So time and energy, the conversations that Sean brought up, that when you have those moments, you've done the groundwork, always working on yourself, so that you have peace, that you have given your all, your 100%. And now it's up to everyone else in your life to either accept that, and if they don't, that you are still a whole person. But I guarantee that will have more impact if it is through actions and integrity than it is just words.
Oh, I just want to say one thing. I just want to say my father's name. William Ernest Chapman, you will be loved and remembered.
Cheers to William.
Cheers to William. Salute.